Oftentimes in this debate about religion, we come across the issue of the freedom of religion and the freedom from religion. But there's been a story in the news lately which really it brings to light where sometimes, and I only mean sometimes, freedom of religion needs to be restricted. A recent story that's out about Colleen and Daniel Hauser really exemplifies this need for restricting the freedom of religion. See, Daniel Hauser is a 13-year-old boy who has Hodgkin's lymphoma. That is a cancer of the lymph system, and it is a lethal cancer, of course. His family while they're Catholics, they follow a sect, a religious sect that is based on Indian medicine that prohibits medical intervention with toxic chemicals, and they focus on natural remedies. Now, they have opted to forego the normal chemotherapy and radiation therapy for their son Daniel in favor of this. And the courts, thankfully, have said, absolutely not. We're not going to allow this. And there has been an uproar from both sides. I mean, you have the freedom of religion people are in an uproar saying that they have a right to their religious beliefs and to follow them. Well, where I say there needs to be a restriction is Daniel's a 13-year-old boy who is not educated enough to make a decision on this, and I don't think it should be legal for his parents' religious beliefs to affect him. I mean, we're talking about a group of people who say a woman has no right to abort her fetus. But then, the same group says that they have a right to make medical decisions for their children that are going to lead to death based on their religious beliefs. And that is where the restrictions need to come in. We cannot allow things like this. This is absolutely stupid. This is when delusionists become dangerous to themselves and others. Now, I know Colleen Hauser, who has disappeared with her son Daniel, and there's a felony arrest warrant for her. And she's fled from justice to keep her son from getting the proper medical treatment he needs. I know she's not going to see this. But for others out there who may see this, who would think on the same level as her, you need to understand something. Now, and I'm going to be brutally honest here, and some people probably aren't going to like it, but I'm not going to pull any punches. Without the chemotherapy, Daniel Hauser will die by age 14. You don't treat Hodgkin's lymphoma with ionized water, herbs, prayer, and whole grains. No, it's treated with chemicals such as nitrogen mustard, vincristine, procarbazine, prednisone. Chemotherapy. It's designed to kill fast-growing cells, which is why people get sick when they have chemotherapy, because some of the fastest-growing cells in the human body are the stomach lining. And it kills that, and that's what causes the nausea and vomiting. But it also kills the cancer cells. He needs that. He will not be cured by ionized water or any other wild, crazy, religious crap. He's going to die without proper chemotherapy. Now, just so you know what this boy's going to go through, so maybe somebody who knows them might randomly, run across this video and pass this along to her. Your little son, Daniel, his tumors are going to keep growing in his lymph nodes throughout his neck and his armpits and his chest and all the way down through the body. One of the first symptoms he's going to go through is the growth is going to push his trachea. It's going to move it out of alignment. And it's going to cause him difficulty breathing. But that's not what's going to take him out. No. The cancer cells will then infiltrate his spleen, which it probably already has. and then to his liver. And then from there, it's going to go into stage 4, where it gets into his bone marrow. And at that point, the radiation chemotherapy will be no good. He's on a limited time scale now. The fact that he already had one bout of chemo and it stopped means the now growing cancer cells are going to be a little more resistant to the chemotherapy drugs. Your son, Daniel, is going to suffer when it gets into his bone. He's going to be in agonizing pain. That pain will be relentless. It will not end until he does. He will die a horrible, excruciatingly painful death, and it's guaranteed. You are condemning Daniel to a horrible, suffering death over your religious views. Now, some people would argue that Daniel has the right to make his own decision, and if he is part of that belief system, that he should have that freedom. No. Now, see, people who have been following this would know the court documents show that Daniel, at 13 years old, cannot read. But they do not show that Daniel has any form of mental retardation or developmentally delayed or any such politically correct term for it. It doesn't show that. It just shows that he can't read. Otherwise, he's normal. Now, a 13-year-old boy that can't read, I would assume then, in lack of evidence that he is mentally retarded in any fashion, that's a result of abusive and neglectful parenting. He should, at that age, be in school and know how to read. I would say his education has been neglected by his parents, and now his health is being neglected by his parents. This is a boy who, if he can't read at 13, the only information he has is what's told to him. Now, who does a child trust in this world? They trust their parents. So when a doctor tells him he's going to die without chemo, then his parents say, no, you won't, because we know you can do it with herbs and stuff, and they won't make you sick. He's going to naively believe his parents. So he can't make a rational, educated decision on this subject. And therefore, the freedom of religion does not apply. He cannot decide for himself. And since we all know that the parent's decision is a death sentence for him, intervention had to be taken. And I support the courts in their efforts to seize this child, take him away from these neglectful, abusive, religious whack job parents of his, and give him the treatment he needs. But unfortunately, his mother has kidnapped him and run off possibly to Mexico. She's hiding with him now, making it where he will not get the treatment that he needs, and he's going to suffer and die, and that's guaranteed. Religious beliefs, I'm sorry, when it comes to affecting the lives of a child like this, freedom of religion needs to step aside. We can't allow this kind of thing to happen anymore.